6:15 in the morning. Two alarms go off at almost the exact same minute in two completely different lives. One of them is a phone buzzing on a nightstand in a small apartment above a laundromat. The other is a soft chime, barely audible, in a bedroom with blackout curtains and a mattress that costs more than most people's cars. Neither person knows the other exists, but if you watch them side by side, minute by minute, for the next 60 minutes, you'd start to understand something that has nothing to do with luck and everything to do with habit. Let's start with the first one. Her name doesn't matter. Call her Maya. 29 years old, works two jobs, one at a daycare and one doing deliveries on weekends. The alarm goes off and she doesn't move for a second. Just lies there, staring at the ceiling, doing the math she does every morning without meaning to. Rent, the car payment, how many days until the next paycheck. By the time she sits up, 4 minutes have already passed, not doing anything, just absorbing the weight of the day before it's even started. Across town, in that other bedroom, the second alarm has already gone off, a soft chime that fades in slowly instead of jolting anyone awake. His name doesn't matter either. Call him David. He's not famous, not a name you'd recognize. Just a man who built a business 15 years ago that quietly runs itself now. Mostly. David doesn't check his phone first. That's the first difference, and it's a small one, but it matters more than people think. He gets up, drinks a full glass of water sitting on his nightstand, and walks to a window. Meanwhile, Maya has already picked up her phone. Not to check anything important, just habit, scrolling for maybe 90 seconds before catching herself, feeling that familiar guilt, and putting it face down on the bed. Here's something interesting. Neither of these two people are lazy. Neither of them lacks discipline. That's the story people like to tell themselves. That the poor stay poor because they waste their mornings, and the rich get rich because they're somehow superhuman at 6 a.m. That story is comforting, but it's not true. What's actually happening is quieter than that, and a lot more fixable than people assume. By minute 10, Maya is in the shower, already running through her mental list for the daycare shift. Which kids need extra attention today? Whether she remembered to pack lunch, whether her manager is going to bring up the schedule change again. David, at minute 10, is sitting at a small table with a notebook, not a laptop, writing 3 lines by hand. Nobody taught him this in school. He picked it up from a mentor almost 2 decades ago, and the habit stuck the way habits do when they actually work. He's not making a to-do list. He's writing down what he's grateful for and what result he wants from the day. Takes him under 2 minutes. Now, here's where the two stories start to pull apart and where it gets uncomfortable because a lot of people watching this are going to recognize themselves in the wrong half. At minute 15, Maya is dressed, eating cereal, standing up because there's no time to sit. Already thinking about the bus schedule. Her first hour is 100% reactive. Every decision she's making is about getting through the next task, not about the shape of her life. And that's not a character flaw. That's what happens when your mornings are built entirely around survival instead of design. At minute 15, David is doing something that looks almost boring from the outside. He's reading. 15 minutes, same book he's been slowly working through for the past 2 weeks. This one about negotiation. Nothing dramatic. No secret morning ritual filmed for social media. Just quiet, consistent input. The same way you'd add small deposits to a bank account you never touch. People assume the difference between rich and poor shows up in big moments. A huge business decision, a lucky break. The truth is messier and a little harder to accept. The difference shows up in these tiny 15-minute windows, repeated for years, compounding in a direction you can't see happening in real time. By minute 25, Maya is out the door, walking fast, phone in one hand, keys in the other, mentally rehearsing an apology to her manager for being 3 minutes late last week. Her first hour has been entirely about other people's expectations of her. David, at minute 25, closes his notebook and makes coffee, slowly, without rushing, standing at the counter looking out at his backyard. He's not thinking about work yet. That's coming. But he's protected this first half hour like it's something valuable, because to him, it is. Now, you might be thinking, of course he has time to relax in the morning. He's already rich. That's the easy conclusion. But it's backwards. David didn't start doing this after he made money. He started doing it 15 years ago, back when he had almost none. back when he was working a job he hated and building his business at night in a spare room that smelled like his neighbor's cigarettes through the wall. He protected that first hour before he had any proof it would matter. That's the part that gets left out of most success stories because it's not exciting. Nobody wants to hear, "I just didn't check my phone for the first 15 minutes." It sounds too small to be the reason for anything. But here's the thing about small things. Repeated enough times, stop being small. At minute 30, Maya is on the bus, standing because it's crowded, replying to a text from her sister about their mom's birthday, trying to remember if she has enough left this month to send something. There's a heaviness to this that has nothing to do with effort. She's working hard. She's been working hard for years. The math just isn't in her favor yet, and every minute of her morning is spent managing that pressure instead of building anything new. At minute 30, David is answering 2 emails. Just 2. He picked them the night before, flagged as the only things that actually need his attention before 9. Everything else waits. He learned a long time ago that saying yes to everything in the morning was the fastest way to lose the whole day before it started. This is where it gets genuinely interesting, because the truth about rich versus poor mornings isn't really about money at all. It's about something people rarely name directly: the difference between a life that reacts and a life that decides. Maya's morning is full of decisions too. She's decided to keep going, to show up, to hold 2 jobs together with sheer will. Nobody should mistake her mornings for weakness. If anything, what she's doing takes more strength than most people will ever understand. But almost none of her decisions are about her own future. They're about keeping today from falling apart. David's decisions, small as they look, are all pointed forward. The notebook, the book, the 2 chosen emails. Every single one of them is an investment in a version of his life that doesn't exist yet. By minute 45, Maya has clocked in, is kneeling on the floor helping a 4-year-old with a shoelace, already fully present in someone else's needs. There's something genuinely beautiful in that, and something quietly unfair about it too. The fact that a woman capable of this much care and patience spends her mornings with almost nothing left over for herself. By minute 45, David is in his home office, finally opening his laptop for the first time all morning. Notice that. 45 minutes in, and it's the first screen he's touched other than the one he chose to read on. He didn't avoid technology out of some wellness trend. He avoided it because he learned the hard way that the first hour sets the tone for everything after it, and he didn't want that tone set by other people's urgent messages. Here's a question worth sitting with for a second. What would happen if you swapped their mornings, not their money, just the first 60 minutes? Would David's business survive if he spent his mornings the way Maya has to? Would Maya's life change if she spent hers the way David does? The honest answer is complicated, and it should be, because life is complicated. David has 15 years of compounding decisions behind him, an entire structure built underneath that quiet morning routine. If you dropped Maya into his exact schedule tomorrow, it wouldn't magically fix her rent or her second job. Systems don't rebuild themselves in a week. But here's what's true, and it's the part that actually matters. Somewhere in those 15 years, David was exactly where Maya is now. Tired, behind, doing math in his head before his feet hit the floor. The difference wasn't that he had it easier. The difference is that somewhere in the middle of all that pressure, he started protecting 15 minutes of his morning for something other than survival. And he didn't stop. Even when it didn't seem to be working yet. By minute 60, both of their first hours are done. Maya is fully immersed in her shift, present, competent, doing something that genuinely matters in a child's life. David is deep into his first real task of the day, focused, unhurried, working from a place that isn't scattered or reactive. Neither of them thought about the other one this morning. They never will. Their lives will probably never cross. But if you lined up their first hours side by side, every single day, for the next 10 years, you'd start to see 2 very different lines forming. Not because one of them worked harder, but because one of them had, and the other hadn't yet, found 15 minutes that belonged only to the future. That's really what this comes down to. Not luck, not talent, not even money, not at the start. Just 15 minutes, protected, repeated, long before there was any proof they'd lead anywhere at all.